Hello, this is Jordan Kincaid with NCDPI. Welcome to the second of two videos focused on the student UID system. In this video, we're going to talk through web service integration with UID and a little bit more about the matching process that takes place inside of UID. This video is intended for staff who regularly work with student enrollment and update records in PowerSchool, PowerSchool data managers, LEA coordinators, and DPI support staff. By the end of this video, we hope that you'll have enough information to describe the UID functionality that can be accessed via web services such as PowerSchool, describe the criteria used by UID in the match process, and describe the match decision process, including the exceptions that UID runs through during its match decision process. Alright, so we're going to talk through web integration with UID and what that looks like for the user. So just a note here, we're going to talk through a few examples of what would be submitted inside of PowerSchool when enrolling a new student and how that interacts with UID. However, if you want to find more specific training materials that's just regarding PowerSchool so that you can get a better understanding of PowerSchool specifically, feel free to navigate to the NC-SYS recordings webpage, and there you should be able to find various recordings related to PowerSchool specifically. So, web services was designed to allow users to use applications such as PowerSchool that communicate directly with the UID system. These web services allow the user to access various types of functionality inside of UID, including assigning or retrieving UIDs, requesting near matches, submitting near match decisions, or even searching UID records. A little bit about the UID numbering scheme. So UID creates 10-digit identification numbers. Whenever you see IDs that are less than 10 digits, that means that the ID was created during the NC-WISE era, which is pre-2012, which was before UID was in place. Also note that student UID is integrated into PowerSchool such that whenever a student is enrolled in that enrollment screen, that's directly connected to the UID system. Same thing for student demographic updates. So whenever you're visiting the demographic update screen in PowerSchool, that information is directly connected to the UID system. A few best practices for enrolling students inside of PowerSchool. The first thing you want to do is search for the student that you're enrolling inside of the UID system. So you should go over to the UID system apart from PowerSchool, search for the student, which we'll get into the different ways that you can search the system in the next video. But just know that whenever you're enrolling a new student, the first thing you should do is check the UID system to see if that student already exists. When you're enrolling a student in the application, using the results that you get from your UID search, just make sure that you're filling in first name, last name, date of birth, gender, which are required fields at a minimum, but also make sure and fill in the middle name if it's available or any other pertinent information that can be used by the UID system for its matching process. Alright, so we're going to go through in a little bit of detail what the matching process looks like inside of UID. So I just wanted to note here that currently LEAs and charter schools do not process near match resolutions in the UID system. This feature has been requested and will probably be implemented in the future. But note that users are responsible for resolving presented near matches when you're enrolling or updating a student in PowerSchool. So if the system automatically gives you near matches when you're enrolling or updating a student, please make sure you do select and finish that process. All right, so really quick, this is where we are inside the overall ID process. So data's been submitted, the UID system has already validated that entry as fitting the correct format and having valid data, and we're inside that matching ID assignment loop. So when we get ready to talk about near matches and stuff, just know that that's where we are in this overall process. Okay, so during the matching process, the first thing that happens is a record is sent to the UID system. So let's say, for example, you're enrolling Jose R. Martinez, a male born in April 2012, via PowerSchool. You submit the record, and then it goes to UID. After the record's received, UID creates an index of potential candidates. As you can see there, it finds 4 potential candidates. And from here, it uses various criteria that were submitted with the record for the match scoring. So last name, first name, birth date, gender are required matching fields, but it also uses middle name and social security number if provided with its matching process. And you can see that graphic gives you kind of a visual of what it's doing when it goes through its index process to come up with near matches. Here are a few exceptions to consider when data is being submitted for matching. Matching accounts for over 300 different types of exceptions, so this is just a partial list, but just wanted to give you an idea of the types of exceptions that it runs through. So obviously errors in spelling, Tomas versus Thomas, nicknames, so you want to make sure that you're entering the legal name, not a nickname, but it can account for those exceptions. Mixed usage, also things like partial names, uncommon names, and even punctuation. Alright, so it's gone through its indexing and it's created match scores after it's accounted for exceptions, and you can see those highlighted over on the right. So it came up with 3 match scores for the near matches that it found for the input record. So let's talk a little bit about what those match numbers represent. So as you can see, there are kind of 3 tiers to those scores. So if an input record goes through UID and it has a match score between 0 and 87, the system treats that as no match found. And in those cases, an ID for that input record is automatically created. If the input record goes through the system and the system finds students that have a match score between 88 and 92, those are then considered near matches. So whenever you're given a list of near matches when you're enrolling a student, just know that that's because those near matches have a match score between 88 and 92. When a student goes through the system and the UID system finds that it has a score of 93 to 100 after it's finished its matching process, that's considered an exact match, and the system automatically updates the master record in UID, and the process is finished. So this is just a visual of what it might look like when a match is found. So you can see there the input record for Jose Martinez. That's sent to UID. The system finds a match and assigns the ID for the student based on the match score. And you can see there that the match score given for this student is 96, and that would trigger the exact match in the update to the master record. And then the previous master record gets moved into ID history so that you can see for that student whenever a change has been made. Here's a look at a no match scenario. So same input record, but here the closest match that UID can find is Christopher Swanson with a match score of 65. So if no matches are found, obviously a new UID is created inside the system and the process is completed. And then lastly, here's an image of what it would look like for a near match decision. Same input record, but then it finds Joe Martinez and gives it a match score of 88, which would then be considered a near match because it falls in that 88 to 92 match score range. From here, those near matches are presented back to the user, and the user has to decide which record is the record that they're trying to make a change to. Here's an example of multiple matches. So if 2 or more potential matches are found above the lower threshold for an exact match, the system forces a near match. The system does not simply assign a potential match to the highest score. It's going to ask the user, we found 2 that actually are an exact match, so please tell us which one is correct. Here's an example of a student with the same social security number as one that's already in UID. If no match is found but the social security number submitted is the same as an existing record, the system again forces a near match decision, sends it back to the user for the user to decide, is this the correct student or not? Here's a screenshot of what you might see in PowerSchool when UID finds a near match and sends it back to PowerSchool. So you've submitted a record, in this case for Peyton Manning. UID found a near match student with a 92% match score, same name, and then you would select from here either the near match that it found, or if that's not the student that you're enrolling, you would select no match new enrollment, and that would create a new UID inside the system. So now that we've talked about web services integration with UID and more detail about how the matching process works inside the system, I wanted to give you all some resources for support. So that first link there at the top takes you to the student UID webpage, and from there you can get access to the system. You can also get access to supporting documentation such as reference guides or frequently asked questions. You can also see there links to NCSYS admission and withdrawal information, webinar recordings on NCSYS, and then the last 2 links are links to NCSYS web pages related to updates and changes to systems inside of Homebase to keep you updated on how those systems are changing over time. If you have specific questions about enrollments or duplicate students, feel free to contact the Support Center at 919-807-HELP or go to the Remedy portal and log in a ticket online. If you have questions about NCID, feel free to contact your LEA NCID administrator. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope it's been helpful in giving you more information about web service integration and how UID runs through its match process.